The body will hold on to feelings of failure unless you explore those feelings and express those feelings.
Kreek Speak Business Solutions.
Hi, Adam Kreek here, Executive Business Coach. I'm here to help you make it happen. I really like this concept from the responsibility ethic. I call it reflect, learn, grow, let it go. Not just because I have a 6-year-old daughter and she freaking loves Frozen. Let it go, let it go. I'm not a singer, but this is a process actually that's very helpful with letting go of deep-seated guilt and shame that is associated with failure. So if you have a big failure that's creeping up and just keeps holding you down and keeps holding you back, this is a very useful and helpful process. Just a quick backdrop in my story. I went to the Olympics in 2004, reigning world champion, top of the world, expected to be on the top of the podium. We finished 5th, and it was crushing, sad. It was devastating. You know, 8 big dudes in spandex sobbing. That's that's the picture.
Ouch, that hurts.
But obviously I've let go of the shame, but it was really horrible for years and years after that. And this is a process for letting go of deep feelings of regret and guilt and shame after a failure. The first step is reflection. Reflection, which is actually processing the emotions that you feel so that you can let them go. Because if you do not work through the negative emotions and actually express them, I'm a big believer that the body holds a deep level of intelligence. And the body will hold on to feelings of failure unless you explore those feelings and express those feelings. And by exploring and expressing those feelings, you're able to do something very useful. You're able to, one, just burn the energy off, but 2, you're also able to separate facts from feelings. You got that? Separating facts from feelings. Because sometimes facts and feelings become conflated and you think one is the other. You feel something, so it must be true. No. Just because you feel something doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And so the reflection piece is very important. And often that's the part we want to skip over. I remember taking Toastmasters when I was younger, when I was getting into the public speaking and the teaching space just to build my skills. And there was a woman there who was amazing. She was in her mid-40s and she had a family and a career, successful, building up her Toastmasters skills. But she had experienced this like physical abuse, sexual abuse when she was young in her teens, and it was really like it was popping up in her 40s. And she didn't really know how to let go of that, like the shame and the guilt and the feelings of failure that were surrounding that. And I can't understand what that was like, but recounting her experience was pretty powerful. You know, how she processed that feeling, she went to a racquetball court, and she'd pick up the racquetball with the racket, and she'd slam it and go, "Bah! Bah!" And she'd scream. You know, picture like 20 minutes, screaming out all the deep rage that you feel in your body. And she said she did that 2-3 times a week for about 6 to 8 weeks. And finally, after doing that, she picked up the racquetball, and no more rage. The emotions had been processed, they'd been released. And once you've been able to actually release all of the emotional baggage that your body is holding on to, you can move to the next steps, which are pretty quick because they're intellectual. Next one is reflect. Write down, or next one is learn. You learn, you write everything down. You figure out what could have I changed here, what could have I changed there, what in the process could I have changed. Like for example, from the Olympics, I learned at the Athens Olympics, I needed to have a shorter warm-up in very, very hot countries. That was one of the key learning points. So if you're ever training in a temperate climate and competing in a hot, humid climate, shorter warm-ups. So there's lots of different things you can learn from your catastrophes, write them down, and then the growth part. So you figure out what principles do you need to establish as an individual so you don't repeat the same failure, and you also need to figure out even on a grander stage. If you're a leader, you're a manager, you're in an organization, can you create policies and procedures to avoid the same failure from happening again? Another part of growth is actually training people in the things that you've learned, and that solidifies it in you even deeper. So we reflect, we emotionally feel it, we learn, we intellectually process it, we grow, we build policies, procedures, and we train others. And then finally we can let it go, let it go. It's not holding back anymore. Elsa, she was great. So in sum, to let go of failure, especially a big failure that has strong weight, you need to reflect, emotionally process. That's in fact the most important part. 2, intellectually process. 3, grow, change behaviors, change actions, become a better adult, become a better human, become a better leader, manager, become a better professional. And finally, we let it go.
Make it better.
Nige? No? You are?
Let's go.
Okay. I like this one. I like this one. So I got to start properly now.